Hey, future teachers, I'm back. This time I'm going to talk to you about the field experience link. We're going to start over here on the left side where all of our options are, and we're going to click on field experience. And that's going to open up a window that tells us something very important right off the top. I'm reading from this top paragraph that says, in accordance with the Texas Higher Education Coordinating Board, this course requires that students complete 16 hours of field experience with pre-K through 12 populations in schools and early childhood settings. Now, in normal semesters, by normal, I mean those during which we could actually go to campuses and meet people face to face, in other words, there's no pandemic, we actually require students to set up arrangements with schools of your choice so that you can go to those schools in person and observe live classrooms. And during those semesters, I will probably make another video for how you would set that up. But because we're still in the middle of the pandemic, I won't focus on going to see these schools and classrooms face to face. I'm going to focus on watching the videos, as I will go into detail to explain later. But the part that you need to know right now is that you must complete 16 hours of observation, whether that's in person or looking at videos. That's a requirement. It's not just a requirement of this class. It's not a requirement that Dr. Price has come up with. This is a requirement that's much bigger than even Dallas College. It is a state requirement. Part of that state requirement also says, and I'm reading right here, in addition to submitting these specific assignments, you must also provide documentation that hours are fully met using the field experience record form included in the course. So not only do we have to actually either go face to face or watch videos for 16 hours of our classroom observations, but we need to document that and be able to show authorities, if ever we're asked, did Sally actually go or did Sally actually watch 16 hours of classroom observations? We should be able to produce documentation to show that. The next piece that we're going to look at is this link, and this is what you see on your screen as well. Now, just for your information, you can see this here. This shows up on my screen and not yours. You can see that the folder is grayed out because this link was designed for our students who actually went to classrooms face to face. So we won't go into that right now. We're going to go into this link and we're going to learn all about how to document our hours and how to write field experience reports. We're going to start with this link up here, how to observe, write, and report your field experience observation reflections. Let's click on that. When you open it up, you're going to see a document that looks just like this. And remember, this document is designed for us not to go to visit classrooms face to face because of the pandemic. So I'm going to start here, and I know you can read, but I'm going to read this out loud to you. The purpose of this activity is to record evidence of the teacher's lesson design and delivery with implications for your future classroom in mind. You are not to rate the teacher's performance, the room appearance, how fun the lesson was, how happy the children were, etc. And so what I mean by that is we're actually looking at what the teacher is doing strategically to make sure that the learning goals are met in a classroom. Now, if you've been in my class at all, you already know something about instructional alignment. That's the main thing that we're looking at. What was the objective for the lesson? What did the students do? What did the teacher do? What did everyone do in that classroom that is aligned to that student objective? And that's what we're looking at. So you also know, if you've been in my classes before, that you could go into a classroom where the kids are having a ball. They're just having so much fun. The teacher's having fun. Everybody's happy. Everybody's well behaved and all of that. But none of it could be aligned to standards. So no, we aren't going to go in and judge just basic appearances. We're looking for the nitty-gritty. We're looking for alignment between what is happening in the classroom and the state standards. This next part may sound like a little repetitive, but watching the videos, a requirement of this course is to observe and document 16 clock hours of classroom visits. During the pandemic, you will watch videos to document 16 hours of classroom activities using only Dallas College School of Education approved videos. You won't be able to go out into on YouTube or someplace and say, oh, I saw a classroom, I'll just use that. We have a list of approved videos, and you'll see that in just a few minutes. You must watch all 16 hours as required by this course. However, and here's what we all need to make sure we understand, you are watching 16 hours. You're going to write a full report 4 times on 4 lessons. So obviously that means you're not going to be writing a report on every single one of the hours that you observe. You're only going to be writing 4 observation reports. And you will see later on that each of those reports needs to be on 1 lesson. 1 report, 1 lesson. Before we get into that part very deeply, let's look at the log or oath. So how to complete the field experience record, also called a log or oath, to document your 16 hours of observation. Now, I'm going to pause here because it says to locate the record or the log. You're going to go to Blackboard. Here are our directions. Click Field Experience from the left grade column menu, then scroll to the bottom of the screen to find the document called Field Experience Record, also called a log or oath. Let's do that so that you know exactly where this document is. So I'm going to go over here. We're already in that link, but let's just follow directions and do this appropriately. So here is our field experience link. We're going to click on that. We're going to click on the reflection assignments, showing you how to get to this log. And you're going to scroll all the way to the bottom, and here it is. This is the log. Let's click on it. And what you're going to do is download this log to your computer. You're going to download it to your computer 1 time, and you're going to use that same log that you downloaded to complete throughout all 16 of your hours. And this is the information that you will turn in. This is the document that you will turn in completed to show that you have actually watched all 16 hours. I've come back to our handout to continue to read the directions for filling out this log. So we've located the log. We've downloaded the document 1 time to our computer. Notice it says do not print it out. Do not handwrite your entries. Read each of the headings on each of the columns to complete the form correctly. Let's take a minute to go back to that form and let's look at those headings to see what we'll be filling out. Let's start across the top here. Here's what we're going to be reading. We're going to start right here. The number of the observation. Okay, we're going to go take a look at that list of videos in just a few minutes. And so we're going to pick a video, and this is going to be our first observation, okay? So that's number 1. And while I'm thinking about it, I'm going to correct this to number 2. We'll get to that in just a minute. Here's number 1, our first observation. We're sitting down to watch one of the videos. And by the way, some of the videos have just 1 lesson. Some of the videos have 2 lessons, okay? That's okay. You can watch as many hours at a time as you want, okay? But this first time that we sit down to watch the videos is going to be our observation number 1. In the next column, we're going to put the date. In the next column, you're going to put the number of videos that you viewed, okay? So we'll see that link with all of the videos in just a few minutes. And by the way, let's go look at that right now. Here's how you're going to get to those videos. Let's come back over and click on our field experience link. We're going to click on this again. And here is the link to all of the videos. Let's read what it says around it first. Semesters impacted by COVID-19 pandemic will not visit schools to fulfill observation requirements. Instead, click this link to access the approved observation videos. Note, some of the links are repeated, listed more than once. Watch them again if they appear on the list, but make sure to add something new that you gained by watching it again, and document that on your field observation record. We'll talk about how to do that in just a minute. Specific directions are on that form. If you are currently working in a school and you are not working remotely, teaching online, and you want to conduct in-person observations, you must contact me to discuss this possibility. Do not assume that because you are reporting to a school that you've been granted permission to observe classrooms in person. So please let me know. It's possible for you to do observations, but we need to have a conversation about that, okay? So don't just go to your school and start observing just because you happen to be working in a school. Talk with me about that. You can call, email, or text. You know how to contact me, celia.price, Price, at dccccd.edu, or you can use my phone number, which is 469-454-8589. You can call or you can text that number. Let's look at this link that has the videos. When you click on it, it's going to take you to a page that looks like this. Don't assume that something is broken. Click that link. Here we are. So this list of links take you directly to all of the videos that you can watch. And because you must watch 16 hours in total, if you look at the total at the bottom of this document, you will see that watching all of them is about 16 hours. Start with the first video. I won't click it here. You can click that on your own. And if I remember correctly, this one might have 2 lessons in it. I don't quite remember, but it might. It's at 58 minutes and 23 seconds, so it might have 2 lessons in there. Just check it out and see. But let's say that I've clicked on this link, and one lesson in this link is what I'm ready to document on my log. And let's also imagine that I watched the second one as well. Let's see how we're going to put that on my log. So here we are at the log. We're going to put our date here. Let's say it's October 1st. It's really not, but that's just an example. Number of videos you viewed. Okay, so I looked at the first 2 links in their entirety. So I watched 2 videos. Amount of time that you viewed. Now this is an estimate. You need to be exact on the time, on the amounts that you put here. I've estimated 2 hours, but that's only because I'm doing a little example here. On yours, you need to add 58 minutes and whatever seconds that was, plus 58 minutes and whatever seconds that was. Add that up specifically and put the exact amount of minutes and hours that you viewed. This next says, did you complete a field experience observation reflection for these hours? Well, I just watched these. I didn't write a report on any of the lessons in the 2 hours that I watched. So here I'm going to write, I did not select these for a field observation reflection. Because my example has that I didn't choose these for the observation reflection, that does not mean that that's what you're supposed to put on yours. If you decided to use one of those videos for an observation reflection, you can say that. But you're simply saying whether or not you did, okay? The time, what was the time that you actually spent watching those videos? And so I'm going to say about 2 hours. That was from 7 until about 9 p.m. And then the subject, grade level, and video of that link. Well, this happened to be 6th grade math, 5th grade reading. If you go back and look at those 2 links, I know that it's something else. This is just an example. You put the grade levels and the subjects of the videos that you watched. Over here in this last column, it says electronic signature. I attest that this record is both truthful and accurate. I understand that if this record is found to be untruthful or inaccurate, I could face consequences up to failing the course and or being removed from the teacher prep program indefinitely. I put that there because you would be surprised. I've taught an intro to teaching profession course of some type on a couple of different college and university campuses. And there was one young lady who thought she could cheat her way through getting through the hours. Long story short, she did not. Put your signature there electronically, so that's my signature, to show that this line of data that I've entered is accurate. Let's go to the second line. This is our second entry, our second observation, okay? I did this one on October the 3rd. This time I watched one video. So this says number of videos you viewed. I did one this time. Amount of time you viewed. Okay, that was an hour. You put your number of minutes specifically though. Maybe it was 62 minutes. Maybe it was 58 minutes and something. Maybe it was 25 minutes. Whatever the length of the video is, that's what you put. Did you complete a field experience observation reflection for these hours? This time I said yes, because I selected this to complete field observation reflection number 1. I watched from 1 p.m. to 2 p.m. This was 7th grade PE. And because I did do an observation on this one, I included the link of the video so that if I, as my teacher, went to copy and paste this URL in my browser, I would see the video that you saw. That way, when I go back to look at your answers, I, the teacher, going back to look at your answers for what you put on this reflection number 1, I can look at this video and say, yes, I understand why Maria put this response, or maybe Maria could be a little more specific on this response. I can match your answers to the video that you watched. Then come over here and put your initials saying that all of this is truthful and accurate. You're going to complete the rest of this form exactly like that, documenting the ones that you didn't write a report for and documenting the ones that you did. Here is the most important, one of the most important parts about this log. At the end of the log, there's a statement that says, for each video that you watched for which you did not write a report, indicate the number of the observation from above and 1 or 2 things you took away from that lesson that you want to use in your class when you become a teacher. Here's what that example looks like. So remember back up here, I said on this first one, I did not select this one for an observation reflection. That means I chose observation number 1 because I did not write a report on it. Down here, I wrote observation number 1, and here's where I just write a statement, no more than 2 sentences. This is not supposed to be a long, drawn-out dissertation. I'm just going to write a sentence or 2 that reflects what I saw happening in that video that I would like to use in my own classroom. So here's what I wrote. This is a make-believe statement, but it's a sample of the kind of thing that you could write. This teacher used a combination of wait time, individual responses, and core responses to make sure that every single student in the class verbally participated multiple times throughout the lesson. That's all I need to write. Okay? Notice up here for my second observation, I did write a reflection on that. I do not put number 2 down here and write a statement on my second observation. Why? Because I wrote a whole report on it. I don't need to write a statement for that. You're only writing the statements on the videos of lessons that you watched that you did not write a report on. One more thing about the log. Let's say that you run out of space to add your entries down here. You can add more lines. And here's how you can do that. You can right-click on the chart. When this menu comes up, just put Insert and go to rows above or rows below. You can add as many rows as you want. Okay? So Insert rows below. I just added 2 additional rows so that you can have all the spaces you need to write the information there. You probably will end up going on to the next page, like my chart just went to my next page. And of course, you'll probably be adding to all of this down here because you're going to be adding your statements about the videos on which you did not write a report. We are back to our instructions. So I just showed you how to complete that log. Let's see what else it said. We just finished with this one. Read the headings in each column to complete the form correctly. We just did that. We went through all of our examples. Let's read this next one. Type in your documentation cumulatively for the rest of the semester. I've covered this part already, but I'm going to emphasize when you are on this log, when you're filling it out, you are typing this in, just like I have here, typing your entries in. Do not download this, print it out, and then handwrite your responses. Please do not do that. All of this needs to be typed in. And you're adding to this report every time you watch the video. You're adding to the exact same one over and over and over again. And here's how you're going to be submitting it. Submit this document with your first field experience report on the assignment calendar due date. Pardon that tongue twister thing there. On the assignment calendar due date. So look at your assignment calendar and find when report number 1 is due. Okay? You're going to turn in report number 1 and your record or your log. We'll get to the report in just a minute, so you'll know exactly what to put in that report. But when you finish that report and when you finish filling out the log, up until that due date, whatever that due date is on the calendar for the first reporting, and there are 4 altogether, you will submit both the report and the log. It says here, then for each of your remaining 3 reports, use that same field experience record to document the minutes and hours you watch the videos. Resubmit this updated record with each of the remaining reports. So every time you turn in one of those 4 reports, you turn in the report and the log. You turn in the report and the log for the second time. You turn in a report and the log for the 3rd report. You turn in the report and the log for the 4th report. And at the end of the semester, you turn in just the log to show all of your 16 hours. It says you will repeat this process until the due date when you submit your log record for the last time, reflecting all 16 hours that you watched the videos. This next portion we've already gone over. So I've specified to you that this statement is at the bottom of the log for each of the videos that you watch for which you don't write a report. Indicate the number of the observation from above and 1 or 2 things you took away from that lesson that you want to use in your class. We've already been through all of that. We've even done this one too. Add rows if needed. Make the chart as big as you need, okay? I did put here that I'm not sure how to add rows on a Mac or an Apple product, so you probably know more than I do on that one. I'm working with a PC, and so my directions are for those people who have a PC. Now, here is what you do to write the report. So I usually get a question from someone who says to me, can we just kind of write anything we want? Well, no. At the beginning of the video, remember I told you that you aren't going to just write the classroom had a fun activity, the teacher is nice, the kids were well behaved. You're not writing very superficial things like that. You are looking at mainly how well is that standard and the activities that the teacher planned for the students to do and the teacher's teaching, how well is all of that aligned, okay? So here's what you're doing. Let's start from the top here and read. What to observe. Use the provided Dallas College approved classroom observation videos to fulfill your 16 hours of observation requirement. I think I beat that like a dead horse now, so we won't have to say that again. You may not use other videos. You know this part already. Watch the videos in the order in which they appear. And what I mean by that is the order that they appear on the list of videos handout. Watch them in the order that you see them on that sheet. Number of reports. You know this answer already. You're going to submit how many? 4 field experience classroom observation assignments or reports of 4 video lessons of your choice. Now, that's something new I haven't said until this point. You select the videos that you want to use for your reports. If you'll remember, let's go back and take a look at that video list once more. So here we are back at the list of videos. Okay, so you're going to watch them in the order that they appear. But now each of you has an idea of what you'd like to teach when you actually have your own classroom. And if you'll notice that all of these videos are high school and all of these videos are middle school and all of these videos are elementary school and all of these videos are early childhood. And everybody in the class has a different interest, okay? So here's what I suggest you do. Pick out 4 lessons on which you want to write your reports, okay? So even though we're all watching these videos in order, it does not mean that everybody's going to write a report from the high school level. Everybody's going to write a report from the middle school level. You may not be interested in that. You can look at this one of 2 different ways. You can say, I know exactly the age level that I would like to teach. So I know for a fact that I want to do high school. So all 4 of my reports are going to come from the high school section. That's totally up to you. You can do that if you want to. You may say, likewise, I know for a fact that I want to teach early childhood. So all 4 of my reports are going to come from the early childhood section. You can do that if you want to. Totally up to you. You could also say, I have no idea what age level I want to teach. I don't even know what subject I want to teach. You might want to do 1 from high school, 1 from middle school, 1 from elementary school, and 1 from early childhood. You could do that if you want to. You could do 2 from elementary and 2 from high school, or 1 from middle school, 2 from elementary, and 1 from early childhood. It is up to you which videos you do for your reports. The only thing you need to remember is 1 report, 1 lesson. Even if the video you watch has 2 lessons in there, you're only going to write a report on 1 lesson at a time. 1 report, 1 lesson. We're back at our instructions, okay? So you know already you're doing 4 lessons of your choice. We just covered that. Length of viewing per report. I noticed that the shortest lesson video in there seems to be about 23 to 25 minutes. The longest one seems to be about an hour. So I wrote here, the viewing length of your report, what you really need to remember is 1 lesson, 1 report. And that 1 lesson may range anywhere from 25 to 60 minutes. It doesn't matter, okay? 1 lesson, 1 report. Submission format. For each of the sections below, instructional management and strategies, and classroom organization, classroom management, and teacher-student relationships, you're going to respond to the 14 questions separately. So let me show you what I'm talking about. We're going to come back and read the rest of this in just a minute. But here are the questions you are answering for each of the 4 reports. There are 14 questions altogether for each report. You're going to respond to each of the 14 prompts separately. Do not combine your responses. Number and answer the prompts in the order in which they appear. In other words, don't say, okay, I'm going to do this one first, and then I'm going to click down to number 8, and then I'm going to go back up to number 3. Don't do that. That will not make your instructor happy because it makes it terribly hard to grade. Very, very difficult to grade. So answer them in the order. Let's see, let's go back to my space here. Here we are. Copy and paste the entire prompts onto your submission before you answer. Okay? So in other words, when you're answering number 1, don't omit this and just put an answer there. Copy and paste this question, paste it onto your document, then answer the question. Copy and paste this, put it on your document, and answer the question. Okay? Answer each of the questions in the prompt. So I'm really prompting you to think deeply about each one of these topics. So answer each question in the prompt. Write your answers on a Word document and upload this to Blackboard. Do not put any responses to the prompts in the comments section on Blackboard. So I've had a few people do that. It makes it very difficult to read. And then here are your submission requirements. You're going to answer number 1 about how the teacher began the lesson. Here are your questions for that. Number 2 is about the learning objective. Answer each one of those. Remember, you're copying and pasting the question and all the prompts, putting that on your document, and then you're answering number 1. Doing the same thing with number 2, same thing with number 3, okay? Now, in the long semester of 16 weeks, we go into an in-depth lesson design process where we learn the gradual release of responsibility. And there is a mini lesson for that right here. The I do, we do, you do. In our short 8-week course, I didn't take time to teach you that specifically, but this really demonstrates what that is. Okay, so it gives you a real brief lesson about the gradual release of responsibility. And I think that's enough there for you to understand what that means. And so this question is asking you about how the teacher delivered that lesson. And I've just decided that I'm going to make another video on the gradual release of responsibility, so stay tuned for that. Instructional alignment, that's something that we included in our discussion post, so you should know how to answer this question. Communication and interaction, you'll be answering this question. Questioning strategies, relevance, closure, and the resources. That's the first 9 questions. Then you have the remaining 4 about the classroom atmosphere. You're going to answer all of those. Classroom organization and management, you'll answer that. Room arrangement, teacher self-reflection. Read that so you'll know what to do there. And here's your analysis. Think about what you observed in this teacher's classroom as it relates to what you are learning in this course. Explore our course material in Blackboard for concepts we've already explored, as well as those we have yet to explore. For example, you could consider evidence of the teacher's philosophy. You could consider diverse learners. You can consider those with learning disabilities, second language needs. You can consider the 10 big ideas in Module 3 regarding school reform. And based on those considerations and others, write a reflection of what you gained from this teacher's lesson that could have a lasting positive impact on your own teaching practice. This is your analysis piece. We've already covered this part before, but here it is again. When you are ready to submit your report and your log, each of your 4 field experience classroom observation assignment reports will include the answers to your 14 questions and your signed log, also called the record or the oath. You can either scan these 2 things as one document, or if you don't have a scanner, you can upload them separately to Blackboard eCampus, because Blackboard allows you to upload more than one document at a time when you're doing a submission. And that, my teachers, my future teachers, is how you do the field observation reflection reports. I hope that clears some things up for you. The video advantage is that you can play this back as many times as necessary and do that to make sure that you understand what to do. If you still have questions, reach out to me and I'll be glad to assist. But I do believe this video will help you tremendously. Okay, go have fun. Bye.